Albedo, you can't solve every awkward silence with a sketchbook, but it sure makes meetings more interesting. Albedo teaches us that curiosity without limits can become isolation. His endless pursuit of knowledge shows the value of balance. Discovery is meaningful when it connects back to people, not just theory. Al-Haytham, owning too many books doesn't make you wise, but it does make moving apartments a nightmare. Al-Haytham shows the importance of independent thought. He reminds us that living authentically sometimes means ignoring expectations and finding confidence in rationality, even if others misunderstand you. Aloy, if you talk to your pet more than people, congrats, you're in Aloy's club. Aloy's journey shows that survival requires adaptability. She demonstrates that being resourceful, observant, and connected to nature can provide strength when you feel out of place. Amber, enthusiasm can set fires, sometimes literally. Amber teaches that optimism is a choice, not a default. She proves that determination and kindness build bridges, even when others underestimate your abilities. Arataki Ito, confidence levels, showing up late to your own duel and still expecting to win. Ito's story reminds us that self-worth doesn't have to depend on other people's approval. Even when laughed at or dismissed, embracing who you are can become your strongest armor. Baizu, owning a talking snake is the ultimate power move in awkward conversations. Baiju teaches that healing often comes at a personal cost. His sacrifices highlight the reality that caring for others doesn't mean ignoring your own vulnerabilities, it means finding balance and compassion. Barbara, singing, whether it's while walking around or showering, can be a good way to lift your spirit, right? Barbara shows that faith and hope are contagious. She teaches us that resilience often comes through supporting others, even when you feel tired yourself. Beidou, if your solution to stress is start a pirate crew, you and Beidou would get along. Beidou embodies courage born from hardship. She reminds us that leadership isn't about perfection, it's about facing storms and standing tall so others find strength in your example. Bennett, bad luck builds character, or at least great stories for later. Bennett teaches us that optimism is a skill, not just a personality trait. He shows that setbacks don't define you, your response to them does. Candace, neighborhood watching is nothing compared to Candace-level protection. Candace demonstrates that true guardianship balances gentleness with strength. She reminds us that protecting others isn't about control, it's about creating a space where everyone can thrive. Charlotte, never underestimate a journalist, they'll get the unflattering angle every time. Charlotte teaches us that truth matters, even when it's uncomfortable. Her determination shows the power of asking questions and holding on to integrity. Chevreuse, drill sergeants aren't scary until they tell you to drop and give them 50 push-ups. Chevreuse embodies the lesson that discipline provides freedom, structure and accountability can create safety, not to hold back individuality but to protect it. Chiori, fashion is pain, but at least you will look fabulous while suffering. Chiori teaches us that creativity flourishes when we embrace our individuality. She shows that standing firm in your vision, even when others don't understand it, builds authenticity and confidence. Chongyun, popsicles aren't just snacks, they're emergency personality stabilizers. Chongyun shows us the struggle of suppressing parts of ourselves to meet expectations. He teaches that acceptance, not avoidance, is the path to balance. Collie, never underestimate the quiet one, they're probably plotting the most wholesome surprise. Coley demonstrates that trauma doesn't erase hope. Her growth shows how kindness, patience and community help people heal and rediscover joy. Sino, bad jokes are a weapon, Sino just wields them without mercy. Sino teaches us the value of principle. His unwavering justice shows that integrity sometimes requires standing alone, but it creates trust that cannot be faked. Dear, you know someone's tough when that gentle nudge feels like an earthquake. Dear embodies loyalty that endures hardship. She teaches us that being strong isn't about dominance, it's about standing beside others when times are darkest. Diluc, want to be a secret hero among the people? Just change your ponytail for a higher up one and dress in a different outfit and no one will be able to recognize it's you. Diluc shows that grief and responsibility can intertwine. He reminds us that purpose can emerge from pain, but it shouldn't consume your entire identity. Diona, nothing says mixed signals like hating alcohol but mixing the best cocktails in town. Diona teaches us that sometimes your strengths lie where you least expect them. She reminds us that talent can flourish even when we resist its origin. Dory, if someone offers you a totally safe deal with 5 hidden fees, it's probably Dory. Dory shows us that ambition and resourcefulness can open doors, but unchecked greed isolates. Her story warns of the difference between cleverness and wisdom. Eula's bullet journal, full of revenge lists. Eula demonstrates how breaking cycles requires courage. She teaches us that redefining legacy means standing against prejudice and refusing to be trapped by others' expectations. Faruzan, imagine waking up decades later and still refusing to update your fashion. Faruzan shows that knowledge can stagnate if held too tightly. She reminds us to adapt, to keep learning, and to bridge tradition with present realities. Fischl, roleplay doesn't stop when the convention ends. Fischl teaches us that creativity is a survival tool. Her fantastical persona shows that imagination can provide strength, healing, and self-expression when reality feels unkind. Freminet. If brooding underwater was a sport, Freminet would win gold. Freminet shows that sensitivity isn't weakness. His quiet persistence teaches the power of introversion, resilience, and living true to yourself even in silence. Furina, confidence is great until the curtain falls and you forgot your lines. Furina teaches that appearances can't protect us forever. Her vulnerability behind theatrics reminds us that authenticity is what leads to genuine connection. Gaming, never trust someone who says this is just a small fire trick. Gaming reminds us that passion brings people together. His cheerful spirit shows the importance of community, tradition, and carrying joy even through struggle is just a small fire trick. Ganyu, the grind never stops, except when she accidentally sleeps through it. Ganyu demonstrates the toll of perfectionism. Her story reminds us that devotion is admirable, but balance is necessary. Caring for yourself is just as important as caring for your work. Goru, when your pet dog looks at Goru, it probably sees a distant cousin. Goru embodies unwavering loyalty. He shows that true leaders serve with humility, guiding others by sharing their burdens instead of escaping them. Hutao is the one who can turn funerals into stand-up comedy. Hutao demonstrates the value of embracing life by acknowledging death. She reminds us that joy is richer when we accept mortality. Laughter and grief can coexist. Jean, being everyone's mom is exhausting. Schedule a nap between saving the world and paperwork. Jean teaches that responsibility can be heavy, but true leadership isn't about never resting. It's about learning when to lean on others and set boundaries. Kaya, charm doesn't solve every problem, but Kaya sure makes you believe it does. Kaya shows that hiding pain behind humor is a common defense mechanism. He reminds us that trust is hard-earned and vulnerability often takes more courage than being secretive. Kave architects don't just build houses. In Kave's case, they also build debt. Kave teaches us that compassion without boundaries can become self-destructive. His empathy is a gift, but it reminds us of the need to care for yourself as much as you care for others. Kaidehara Kazuha, professional wanderer with a side of accidental poetry. Kazuha teaches us that grief and freedom can coexist. He shows that even in loss, embracing life's journey with openness and presence brings healing and peace. Kiking, sleep is for the weak. Kiching probably at 3 a.m. while still working. Kiching embodies the lesson of carving your own path. She shows that questioning authority and taking initiative are the roots of true progress. Kirara, fast delivery, guaranteed, even if it means climbing 3 cliffs and outrunning slimes. Kirara reminds us that hard work can be joyful when rooted in pride. She teaches that reliability, even in small things, creates trust and builds community. Klee, if there's an explosion, you can assume that Klee is nearby. Klee teaches us to embrace childlike wonder. Her innocence reminds us that joy, curiosity, and play are important, even in a world of responsibility. Kuju Sara. Her catchphrase, strictly business. Sarah demonstrates that loyalty can be both strength and burden. She shows the value of devotion but warns us about losing personal identity within duty. Kuki Shinobu. If your job title is Ito Wrangler, you deserve extra hazard pay. Kuki shows us the importance of balance between rebellion and responsibility. She teaches that grounding yourself doesn't mean giving up freedom, it means defining it wisely. Layla, professional sleeper with a side hustle in astronomy. Layla teaches that perfectionism and exhaustion often go hand in hand. She reminds us that self-worth doesn't depend on overworking. Sometimes rest is the real achievement. Lisa, being flirty and lazy, can make for a surprisingly effective teaching method. Lisa shows us that intelligence paired with moderation can prevent burnout. She reminds us that pacing yourself often leads to longer-lasting success than constant exertion. Lynette, mastering the art of yes, I'm here, no, I'm not speaking. Lynette teaches us that observation is a strength. She shows that quiet presence can be just as powerful as words, and being subtle is its own form of confidence. Lani, card tricks are fun until your wallet disappears. Laini embodies the lesson that appearances are crafted. He shows us the importance of trust, reminding us that illusions can entertain but also hide deeper truths. Mika, shy, polite, and probably apologizes when you bump into him. Mika teaches that quiet diligence has value. He reminds us that not everyone leads from the front. Support roles are just as important for collective success. Mona, astrology doesn't pay the bills, but Mona insists it will eventually. Mona shows us that humility and pride can coexist. She teaches that conviction in your calling outweighs material wealth, but also warns of the cost of self-denial. Nahida, baby archon, ancient wisdom, don't underestimate her height. Nahida teaches that innocence and insight can coexist. She reminds us that wisdom grows when we listen, learn, and value empathy over ego. Navia, classy, elegant, and probably better at detective work than you. Navia embodies leadership through empathy. She teaches that guiding others isn't about commanding them, but about protecting, listening, and creating trust strong enough to weather storms. Nuvulet, if rain starts suddenly, blame his mood swings. Nuvulet shows us that authority carries loneliness. His role reminds us that justice must be tempered with compassion, and empathy is the bridge between law and humanity. Nilu, dance like everyone's watching and you want them to. Nilu embodies the joy of art as connection. She shows us that beauty and creativity can be sacred, reminding us of the healing power of shared expression. Ningguang, if wealth was a stat, Ningguang would already have it maxed out. Ningguang teaches that strategy and patience build empires. She reminds us that foresight, ambition, and discipline can create security, not just for yourself, but for others. Noelle, the answer to everything, I can help. Noelle shows us that determination transforms potential into strength. She reminds us that patience, persistence, and service to others are honorable paths to growth. Chi-Chi, being dead is no excuse for missing work. Chi-Chi teaches us that healing and endurance take many forms. She reminds us that even when memory fails, routine and compassion keep us grounded in who we are. Raiden Shogun, sometimes hitting pause on emotions isn't enlightenment, it's just emotional buffering. Raiden teaches that control without reflection can lead to stagnation. Her journey shows the importance of facing one's own humanity. Growth requires flexibility, not just strength. Razor, if you can't reach him, he's probably running with wolves, literally. Razor teaches that family can be chosen. His story reminds us that belonging isn't about blood, but about bonds built on trust and care. Rosaria, prayer time, more like nap time. Rosaria shows us that cynicism is often born from care. She reminds us that even those who doubt or rebel can protect others in their own way. Sayu, naps equals training, at least according to Sayu. Sayu reminds us that growth isn't about constant effort. Rest and recovery are essential parts of progress too. Shenhe, social skills are not included in the cryo kit. Shenhe teaches that isolation can both protect and harm. She reminds us that healing often begins when we risk connection again. Sucrose, too shy to speak but can summon chemical explosions. Sucrose reminds us that curiosity grows when paired with humility. She shows that science and compassion are strongest when they serve others. Tartaglia, family man, with a side hustle as international assassin. Child teaches that love often comes with sacrifice. His devotion to family shows us the strength of prioritizing relationships, even when it complicates identity. Toma, professional housekeeper, occasional fire starter. Toma demonstrates that service is strength. He reminds us that caring for others through consistency and warmth creates stability and belonging. Tignari, forest ranger, part-time lecture machine. Tignari shows us that education is a form of protection. His guidance teaches that sharing knowledge helps communities grow stronger together. Venti, drinking on the job, acceptable only if you're a bard god. Venti teaches us that freedom is sacred. He shows that joy, song, and laughter aren't distractions but ways of resisting oppression and fostering hope. Wanderer, attitude levels 100%, height less impressive. Wanderer reminds us that identity is not fixed. He shows that even when your past is painful, choosing who you want to become is a form of achieving freedom. Ryathsli, his day-to-day, casually sipping tea while intimidating everyone. Ryathsli teaches that second chances matter. His redemption shows us the value of discipline, self-reflection, and using power to protect rather than punish. Shangling, if it moves, it's probably an ingredient. Shangling reminds us to experiment joyfully. Her cooking teaches that passion, creativity, and a willingness to fail lead to growth. Xiao's way of exercise, brooding on rooftops. Xiao demonstrates the heavy toll of duty. He teaches that protecting others while neglecting yourself is unsustainable and that asking for help is strength, not weakness. Xingqiu, bookworm by day, martial arts hero by night. Xingqiu shows that duality enriches identity. He teaches that intellect and action together create harmony and impact. Xinyan, if it's too loud, you're too old. Xinyan reminds us to stay authentic. She shows that challenging norms with joy and art can create acceptance where there once was resistance. Yaemiko, elegant shrine maiden with the sass levels of a trickster fox. Yaemiko demonstrates that smartness and cunning can protect just as much as brute strength. She reminds us to trust intellect and intuition. Yanfei, contracts are fun if you let Yanfei read the fine print for you. Yanfei teaches that fairness comes from knowledge. She shows that understanding rules is a path to justice and empowerment. Yao Yao, don't underestimate the power of snacks and bunny companions. Yao Yao reminds us that caring for others is strength. Compassion and playfulness together lead to healing. Yelan, if she disappears during poker, you can assume she already won. Yelan teaches us that adaptability is power. She reminds us that reading people and moving strategically can uncover truth and protect the vulnerable. Yoimiya, fireworks, fun for the crowd, stress for the fire marshal. Yoimiya shows that joy shared is joy multiplied. She teaches us the importance of community celebration and spreading light in dark times. Yunjin, opera so good, even Hilichos would clap. Yunjin demonstrates that art preserves culture. She teaches us the value of honoring tradition while still innovating. Zhongli, 3,700 years old and still forgets his wallet. Zhongli reminds us that wisdom comes from perspective. He shows the importance of patience, reflection, and valuing contracts, not just in law, but in trust between people. Alekino, the scariest parent-teacher conference is with her. Alekino teaches us that love and control are not the same. Her protective streak reminds us that devotion without trust can be smothering instead of helpful. Chaska, when in doubt, she's probably already solved the conflict before you noticed. Chaska teaches that compassion paired with pragmatism creates harmony. She reminds us that true leaders heal divisions through patience and presence. Citlali, silent, mysterious, the one you suspect knows everything at the party. Citlali demonstrates that wisdom doesn't need to be loud. She shows the power of guidance rooted in tradition and quiet strength. Clorent, lawyer by day, duelist by night, multitasking level, Fontaine. Clorent teaches that justice must balance empathy with law. She embodies the courage to fight for both truth and people. Dahlia can be in charge of your ceremony and prank you right after. Dahlia shows us that responsibility doesn't have to crush joy. He reminds us that leadership is stronger when influenced by humor and humanity. Dainsleif, world's longest existential crisis. Dainsleif teaches that carrying history alone creates isolation. He reminds us that healing requires connection, even when scars are ancient. Emily probably knows the exact perfume to go with your current outfit. Emily demonstrates that resilience and elegance can coexist. She teaches that appearances can empower, but true strength lies in perseverance and power from within. Escoffier, Gordon Ramsay of Tevat, but with more diplomacy. Escoffier shows that excellence builds respect. She teaches that demanding standards come from care and true mentorship is an act of service. Iansan, small but ready to fight, never underestimate her. Iansan teaches that spirit and conviction are not bound by size or age. She reminds us that passion can inspire even the weary. Yifa, your go-to babysitter for people and wildlife. Yifa demonstrates that gentle consistency builds trust. He teaches the quiet strength of caretaking as leadership. Inefa, loyalty in robot mode. Inefa teaches that support and structure create family. She reminds us that devotion shines brightest in steady action, not necessarily words. Kachina, proof that falling down is just practice for standing up stronger. Kachina embodies resilience. She teaches that bravery is defined not by never failing, but by always rising again. Kamisato Ayaka, elegant swordplay, awkward small talk. Ayaka shows that grace and humility can coexist. She teaches us that kindness is strength when paired with perseverance. Kamisato Ayato, diplomacy in tea, his ultimate strategy. Ayato demonstrates that leadership works best through calm foresight. He reminds us that managing people requires patience and subtlety. Kinich, punch first, talk later, but make sure you're punching for the right reasons. Kinich embodies fierce protectiveness and conviction. His story reminds us that raw strength carries real meaning when it's fueled by loyalty and purpose, not pride. Lan Yan. The person with the clipboard always knows what's going on. Always, Lan Yan shows that clear strategy is its own kind of power. Her dedication to precision reminds us that careful planning and intellect can shape the outcome just as much as bravery. Mavuika, if passion was a sport, she'd win gold every time. Mavuika teaches us that self-expression is strength. By embracing her independence and fiery spirit, she reminds us that standing firmly in who you are can inspire others to do the same. Mualani, can outswim your vacation instructor. Mualani demonstrates the balance of joy and duty. She teaches that community thrives on both celebration and care. Ororon, he has resting serious face, but don't let that fool you. Ororon embodies perseverance through quiet determination. His strength isn't loud, it's steady. He shows us that resilience isn't always about grand gestures, sometimes it's about refusing to give up. Sangonomiya Kokomi looks soft but can out-strategize a whole army. Kokomi teaches that leadership doesn't have to be loud. Her story reminds us that quiet analysis, empathy and preparation can be more effective than charisma alone. Sethos, talking your ear off while still saving the day. Sethos shows us that charm and responsibility can coexist. He teaches the power of social intelligence as a shield and a bridge. Chikanoin Heizu, solving mysteries and stealing hearts while looking smug. Heizu shows that intuition is a form of intelligence. He teaches us to trust our instincts. Sometimes gut feelings lead to truth faster than logic. Sigewinne, world's tiniest doctor, world's biggest heart. Sigewinne teaches us that vulnerability can heal. She shows that softness is its own kind of strength. Traveler, professional sibling Sacha. The traveler embodies adaptability. They teach that identity grows with every culture we encounter and empathy bridges worlds. Skag disappears for centuries, comes back mysterious. Skag reminds us that fighting the shadows prepares us for light. She teaches the importance of patience and hidden growth. Varisa can out-eat your whole friend group. Varisa teaches that joy and strength belong together. Her appetite for food and life shows that vitality fuels courage. Xianyun, master of do not disturb mode. Xianyun reminds us that silence is wisdom. She teaches that long dedication gives perspective others can't see. Silonen, craftsmanship meets relaxation. Silonen shows that dedication to work is important. She teaches that balance in craft and life sustains harmony. Yume Mizuki, therapist energy but in anemo form. Mizuki teaches that emotional labor matters. She reminds us that true strength is helping others carry hidden burdens. Aino, workshop gremlin energy in the best way. Aino teaches that creativity transforms solitude. She reminds us that invention builds bridges between people and ideas. Lauma carries more wisdom than groceries you can carry. Lauma shows us that memory is heritage. She teaches that preserving stories gives future generations strength. Flins, melancholy storyteller, guaranteed to win deepest one-liner. Flins teaches that grief can become guidance. He reminds us that protecting memory is its own form of love. Nefer, keeper of secrets, breaker of awkward silences. Nefer teaches that secrecy can be power. She reminds us that wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to observe.